everyone, welcome to a new live stream, short live stream for Nasdaq and the S&P. We're gonna see what's gonna happen today once the markets open. Now, yesterday with the live stream, we saw, of course, that we might still see higher potential prices. And basically, we are still in the scenario, which is a recovery for the market 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 ending, leading diagonal actually, where we have a zigzag for the wave 1, correction for wave 2, zigzag for the wave 3. You are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a wave A, correction for wave B, perfect target is 0.38 finished, and we are looking currently for continuation toward the upside as 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Potentially a wave 5 is finishing as an ending diagonal to finish a wave 3, or it can still be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, even moving for higher to reach the blue box here, which is a most common target, of course, for a wave 3 in a leading diagonal. This might be, of course, a more aggressive leading diagonal in case we see, of course, this move today toward the upside. That would be massive, and finishing, of course, a perfect zigzag as an ABC and start to move toward the downside after it for a wave 4. And in this case scenario, I'm, of course, looking only to hit in between those fib level. You would not like to see, of course, that the price reach the 1-to-1 fib level at 20k 700, because of course if this happens, this will transform to a perfect A, B, and a C toward the upside, and that will turn it into a full correction here and then continuation toward the downside, which of course not really nice to see, because you don't want to get back to this area, which is a dangerous area very close to a recession signal. And that means, of course, a recession signal turning, of course, this impulse toward the upside, where we have potentially a 1, 2, 3, and potentially right now you are in this wave 4. You don't want to see the price getting lower, invalidation of this wave 1, interfering into it, and of course, invalidation of the whole impulse. That means this will turn into 3 waves corrective, and then of course will unfold a 3 waves down, 3 waves up as WX and a Y, of course, in this area, and then of course another WX and a Y for the wave B, and then moving toward the downside, which is of course a disaster, right? It's a recession because we're moving really deep for it as a big correction, huge one. So we don't want to see this. We want to keep this leading diagonal as a recovery start for the market, that it might, of course, something unfolding as a wave 1 here, and then looking for a wave 2 finally, and then explosion again for a wave 3 toward the upside, continuation of the market as normal. So these are the updates for the Nasdaq. If we take a look at the SPX as well, on the SPX, we have almost the same scenarios. We see, of course, the alignment of the SPX with the Nasdaq. We see an A, B, and a C formation, potentially that you have finished a 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for your wave 3, 4, and a 5. Finishing, of course, inside this blue box also for the SPX. So potentially, I'm still looking as well for the SPX for higher to hit this blue zone for a wave 3 in a leading diagonal, and then of course formation of this corrective wave in a wave 4 in case, of course, we are still in this leading diagonal. Again, you don't want to see the 5,830 hit by the price action. That because, of course, it's gonna finish a perfect wave C, meaning 3 waves up for the A, 3 waves down for the B, and then of course it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Definitely, if it's gonna retrace here somewhere, and then having a 4 and a 5, and that will turn it a perfect impulse for a wave C, finishing an ABC, which is gonna turn us, of course, really bad, and we're gonna have to take the low again, and bring us very close again to our recession. In the daily as well, you are looking at a potential finished wave 3 here, and you are in an ABC finish, potentially expanding flat and moving toward the upside. In case that the price takes this low here as a recession signal, again, you have a 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and a 5. This is what you would like to see right now as a recovery. But if the price moves back again after a corrective wave, meaning taking the low and invalidation of this 1 2 here, meaning invalidation of the whole impulse toward the upside. And that would be a very risky area, of course, for the SPX as well, because it can lead us to a very deep correction in an A, B, and a C, again expanding flat, bigger, and of course in a scale than this one. It's just the recession getting bigger and bigger. So that what we don't want to see, because only by taking this price here, it can unfold, of course, this scenario. So we don't want to see this, of course, happening again. And basically, we are in a good path. I'm still, of course, very optimistic to see some green today and hitting the blue box and start the correction of a wave 4. So those are the updates for NASDAQ and for the SPX. If we take a very fast, quick update for NVIDIA. For NVIDIA, we are looking also at some nice formation for recovery as well after finishing in a big overview here. You have finished a WX and a Y, W and an X and a Y. Your wave Y is kind of like also very, very complex structure. Obviously, nothing is impulsive here. That means, of course, is a good signal that we're not impulsive, because if you are impulsive, meaning, yeah, you're still looking for lower. But basically, you see a lot of overlapping. You see a 3 ways down again, and an X in between, meaning W, X, and a Y. Now, normally, a wave Y is a very rare case scenario to get a combo, yeah, like a very complex structure in it. Preferably to get a flat, preferably to get a zigzag or a triangle. But in this case scenario, we got, of course, 3 waves flat, but they are complex structure. Yeah, very rare case scenario, but I mean, this is trade wars. This is when you get a global trade war. So we cannot do anything about it. And of course, NVIDIA was one of the companies which were affected, of course, by the AIs and yeah, the Chinese AI DeepSeek and so on. So yeah, we're gonna see a lot of complexity, a lot of confusion in the market during those tense times, right? So definitely we can see a combo here in a wave one. Very rare, but it can be possible. Now, basically, on the lower time frame, we are looking, of course, for higher. We are recovering. We hit the 1-to-1 fib level, taken from the A to the B to the C here, and we start to see this recovery toward the upside. Now, basically, if we move inside it, we see as well a zigzag. So what you don't like to see, again, the same as NASDAQ and SPX, as you can see, the market are aligning together, right? So we have 3 ways up, correction, and we're looking for a zigzag toward the upside. You don't want to see the 126 in NVIDIA taken directly with this move toward the upside. Because if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, this will finish a perfect wave C here as an A, B, and a C. You don't want to see it because, of course, that means it's a bigger correction in between a finished structure here. And this might unfold, of course, after a move toward the downside. You have a correction. You still might have another move for lower. So, of course, the risk is always there. But, of course, we don't want to see the 1-to-1 fib level. If we see the 1-to-1 fib level taken, I believe this, of course, is gonna turn corrective. Of course, a very clear correction, by the way, it's gonna be, and ABC, and then moving toward the downside. Preferably to take simply the blue box lower than the 886. By doing so, you get, of course, a zigzag, continuation as correction, continuation for a wave 5, finishing wave 1, formation of a wave 2, and continuation toward the upside. That is the best scenario that we can have in a bullish market in case we want to continue toward the upside. And another one, which is, of course, very recommended by you guys, is the Tesla. So on Tesla, what we are looking at is a potential, of course, as well can be a potential recovery here when you have finished, of course, a W, X, and a Y in this scenario, which is now higher scenario or higher potential, this one. You have finished W, you have the X, you have another Y here. And in this case scenario, you are looking, of course, for this recovery. Now, the problem with Tesla is that you got the answer. This is the difference right now between Tesla, Nvidia, Nasdaq, and S&P. Tesla has took right now the one-to-one fib level, which is not really a good signal. Yeah, you have already 3 waves up, 3 waves down. You are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. And this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, your wave 3 is longer than wave 1. Wave 5 is extended. And obviously that we took the one-to-one fib level, and that means of course you finished right now a perfect correction A, B, and a C for Tesla. What does it mean? Of course, does it mean that we are corrective? Definitely. But are we moving towards the downside directly? Not necessarily. It still, of course, can unfold one more leg toward the upside, since you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Yeah. A little bit extended wave C, and then start to move toward the downside. So basically for Tesla, I'm still looking, of course, to take the low in this case, because this scenario has been, of course, invalidated right now as leading diagonal. And basically it opens again the scenario here that we have over there. What if that we have finished also a WX and a Y? You're looking at a big corrective wave here as 3 waves up, 3 waves down, 3 waves up again, which is WX and a Y again, to finish a wave B. So you have finished potentially A, B, and wave C toward the downside. Why we are still looking toward the downside? Because as a result, in a bigger overview here, this is what you have for Tesla. You have topped here as an A, B, and a C, hitting only the one-to-one fib level as a zigzag, finishing a wave A potentially, and then you have an ABC 3 waves for your W, 3 waves zigzag for your X, and you're looking potentially for a wave Y, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in A, B, and a C. Very simple expanding flat, and that because you took the high here. A, B, and a C. Target is still $70 and $50 in a wave C, potentially, of course, to move toward the downside. Your minimum target can be a WX and a Y here, or finishing ABC zigzag, and that means 3 waves down, 3 waves up, finishing a wave Y here. It's not necessarily to take the low even, yeah, and that opens also a possibility for, well, yeah, you cannot even really say it 100% unless of course you see this sideways like this as a triangle, meaning A, B, C, W, X, and Y, the zigzag that I just mentioned, and then D and an E, and then moving toward the upside. So these are the possibilities, of course, for Tesla. I don't see really recovering toward the upside. I don't see an all-time high will be taken. I see sideways this one as A, B, C, D, E, or you're gonna take the low, which is the blue box. One of these. We have to break, of course, this scenario, invalidate it first by taking this low. Once you take it, you move directly to the next scenario, which is the blue box. Yep. So Tesla, yeah, it's hard to say that it is a very bullish right now. I know that you're looking at a lot of green, but yeah, you started already corrective, guys. So that was for this short live stream updates for Nasdaq, SPX, Tesla, and Nvidia. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.